Hello everybody, how are you? I'm Fotini. I'm talking to you from Athens, Greece. I'm carrying the energies of the High Priestess. I'm a self-knowledge consultant, a writer and an artist. And this video is a little bit different, and I was guided to share a little bit about my story of how I completely changed my life almost 10 years ago, but this has started 22, almost 23 years ago. And the purpose for that is for those of you that you are feeling that you have to change something, that you are in a place in your life where because I know that right now in the world there are people upon the awakening path, and they are trying to find a new way of being, or soon they will need it. And I'm here, that's the purpose of this channel, to show that it can be done, and without effort, but with certain guidance and with certain tools. I had to go through, because I'm now 59 years old, just turned 59, and of course it wasn't so easy, but now I have all the tools, and I'm sharing that the last 10 years with my clients around the world, and especially the last 7 years. I completed what my higher self says the 7 chakras, and closed the crown chakra, because Pisces rule the crown chakra in esoteric astrology. And so the story began at the age of 33, which is the first code that I received from Yeshua in 2016 during the big eclipse in the axis Leo Aquarius. I am Aquarius, and you can find that in my offerings in the community board. It's the flower of the soul. So I was married, I was a lawyer, and I had my son at the age of 28. At the age of 30, I divorced my husband. He was a wonderful man, but I had a calling, and I knew that we couldn't stay together in the long run. Later on, in my book, A Course in Healing, my higher self told me that you couldn't go on because there was a big shadow behind you that your soul was here to clear and to deal with. And so I took my son. He was then 2.5 years old, and we started a new life. The divorce was very, very easy, no pain, except the pain that came a long time after that. because it came from the realization of how I was relating to the masculine energy, and continue with my work, being a lawyer, when 3 years later, at the age of 33, I met another man, and that was the beginning of my path in self-knowledge, because that relationship also ended after 2 years, and then a very big health problem started, which was very severe back pain in the lower, in the sacral chakra, in my lower back, and I had to go through a surgery. I thought that I was fine, only to find out some months afterwards that nothing was done apart from truly traumatized my sacral and my womb, which of course all of that I found out years later in meditation with my higher self. At that time, I had also ended that relationship, and I was totally frustrated. I had a young child at the age of 6, and I was a career woman running in the courts, and when I look back at those times, I cannot relate with who I was. But the thing is that was the beginning of the journey. In 2023, during the summer of 2023, by the way, everything was coming to me always around August, the Lion's Gate, because my let's say galactic inheritance comes from Sirius, and the universities in Sirius. I'm a Blue Rose, my origin. So around the summer of 2003, I followed 2 friends of mine to a seminar in the island of Limnos in Greece, where for the first time I came across hearing the words the 7 rays and what meditation is. I meditate for the first time then, and it was as if I knew that forever. My teacher told me afterwards that I knew that you were coming. It was a soul contract with him. We've been in previous lifetimes. He actually recognized me, but the thing was that he was thinking whether to take me to the school of the race or not, because at that point I was very angry and frustrated and wanting to deal with all of that in a blink of an eye. Yeah, I'm a fire horse, by the way, and when I picture myself right now, I surely was an ugly horse, and you know how exactly an ugly horse is behaving. I started my studies in the 7th ray in the angel wisdom during the October of 2003. That lasted 3 years. In the meantime, I started slowly to write, and that opened my throat chakra and brought me later to meeting my soul group and soul partner. And I also connected with channelers from around the world who started to unveiling my history, my Akashic, and who I was. And I remember that at that time, all that seemed to me like I was crazy. I was losing it. And some other times I didn't believe any of this. And some other times I was fascinated about it. I was like a small girl that she didn't know how to feel about all that. And at the meantime, don't forget about that, still operating in the corporate world. I was a lawyer in a very big bank here in Greece and raising my child and have a social life and all of that. To make the story as short as possible, the economical crisis started when Pluto entered Capricorn, the previous sign of mine, in 2008, when my ex-husband died at the age of 45, and I had to deal with this grief, and of course that my child had lost his father, my son had lost his father. At the same time, due to the corruption of Lehman Brothers in the United States, a great change in the bank where I was working happened, and 2 years later I couldn't pay my loans and they fired me. Although I offered a solution, they didn't take it, and I was forced to exit, going from an income, a very high income, and the security and everything, to no income. I had savings, of course, but I was fearing of losing my home. I started practicing law by myself, and then I started also doing intuitive session in astrology because my awakening has started. I had already done years of personal therapy with a psychotherapist, and finally in 2012, when my son entered the university, I could more freely share my knowledge in astrology and doing sessions around the world, but still I was not fully prepared of what it was coming later. In the great winter solstice in the 21st of December 2012, in a Reiki festival in Athens, I did a meditation, and Pallas Athena appeared in front of me, the goddess Athena, and told me that, and gave me a pen and told me, you have to write a story. And she told me that we were together in the universities of Sirius, and that I had to be prepared and I have to write a story. Few weeks later, in the first new moon in Aquarius after 2012, I was in the University of the Seven Rays in London, where I went through a rebirth and saw the Ascended Master WH-OWL, which together with Masters El Moria, Kutumi and Saint Germain brought the teachings of the Seven Rays and esoteric astrology. And WH-OWL appeared in front of me in his golden robe and gave me the golden grail. And he showed me the big golden grail and full of liquid plasma energy pouring into a pyramid of smaller grails. And he told me, you have to share your wisdom and you have to do a certain work. Imagine me, although I have been almost 10 years in that path, that all of that was so unfamiliar and unknown for me. It was opening a new path for me. And I returned to Greece, and then the following summer were the greatest opening in my evolution, when I met my second big teacher, who came from New Zealand, cosmologist, esoteric astrologer and PhD in psychology, in the first international seminar called Zoe, which now you can call it the New Earth, where me and another 23 people, we were 24, we took the codes and we established a new energetic grid that now I know it was the grid of Shambhala, the grid of peace. And then I received my second code, the 144. The codes were given to me step by step, but at the moment that I was receiving them, I didn't know that these were codes that I had to share. They told me that afterwards. And so it was a very intense 1 week where I had a great opening, because it was the week that my higher self started communicating directly with me in English. The thing is, that's why this channel is in English, although my narrative, my language is Greek, is that he started to talk to me in English within my brain, and whenever I talk with him, I speak fluently English because he is speaking through me. But whenever I try to speak English, maybe I make mistakes. But anyway, he explained to me that he had to come through another language because he addresses the language of the language that I was born in, the trauma language. And I have done a video about that, and that goes for everybody of you. That's why you are using divination languages such as astrology, tarot, whatever, light language. You have to bypass the language that connects you with the country that you are born in, because this is your collective trauma. This is a connection that you have with your birth mother and your ancestors, and you are here to heal that. Okay, so he started to talk to me in English, but at that time I thought I was crazy, hearing voices, of course. And then when I came back from the seminar, she continued talking to me at any given moment. I was working during the night and writing, and then she stopped, and then she continued, and that went for almost 8 to 9 months, when Archangel Raphael came and told me that that was a book and that I had to call it A Course in Healing, because they would explain to me that that was the kind of the modern psychology, because it has 12 steps, 12 basic questions for the human being if he wants to heal through the fifth ray, which is the ray of self-knowledge. I published my book on 2014, and I was continuing to educate myself and doing session and all of that. And then on 2015, I met with a group in the United States where in a seminar in the Greek island of Kos, where I met with Saint Germain, the energy of Saint Germain, and he explained to me that we were together in Atlantis. I was a high priestess there. I'm not going to talk about my higher aspect, which is very known. This is not a point. This video is not about identities. It's me just explaining as a human the multidimensionality of how we think we are one thing, we think we are humans, but in actuality we are far more greater beings, but not in the sense of ego, not in the sense that I am important, because I had to go through all what I went through, that were facets and experiences of my higher self and my soul, who had chosen for this lifetime enlightenment and realization, to realize who I truly was as a soul. A lot of things happened after that, because after that I went to Glastonbury, the heart of Gaia. I received my coach. I met with Magdalene again in a vision during a trip of mine in Umbria, Italy, in Assisi. And then I came back to Greece, sharing my coach, doing seminars, opened the gates here in Greece, writing, painting, and so much more. And I am here now, again through guidance, speaking to you through this channel. I was pushed to that when I thought that I was done with all this, because I had brought all that I could, and actually in a part of me was burned out, because all this life the last year wasn't easy, because I went through a severe purification in my physical body. I went through financial problems, relationships, separation, everything and a human mind can think about it, and it was part of my soul integration and union with my higher self and my monad. Many times I ask why I had to go through all that, but that was the plan of my soul, and I went through that. Sometimes kicking and screaming, sometimes accepting it, sometimes integrating it, but all the way that one thing was my guide, and one thing only. I trusted love. I was always asking and searching for love till I fully integrated that I was the one who was love. It was all about me finding me and looking my true higher self in the eyes and realizing that the void that I was feeling, the effort that I was placing, was because I was searching about love. And during the last 4 days, when I went through a very deep purification in the lunar eclipse, I was shown that I was finally one with my higher self. And I remember something that I forgot to mention here, that at the second year of my studies with the 7 rays back in 2004, a few months before the Olympic Games in Greece, for the first time after 100 years, I met with an astrologer, and at that time the only thing I knew about astrology was that I was an Aquarius, nothing else. And I went to her because I wanted to ask about my relationship back then. And she said to me, after she broke into tears, she's not in this plane of existence anymore, but I always treasure her words. Her name was Irene, which means peace in Greek. So she told me, crying, "What are you doing here? You asking me when you have all the knowledge that you need." She looked me in the eyes and said, "Fotini, you don't know yet that you are the teacher. And not only that you are the teacher, but you are the teacher of the teachers. And you will remember that in the years to come." And when my multidimensional aspect was revealed to me, I knew what she was talking about, but at that time it was. But anyway, I said that because that cycle has ended for me permanently with that with the last lunar eclipse, and now I'm moving to a new phase of my life. But I was called to come here and share my story, share my work. I don't know where this will go, because I know what my soul wants and wants to co-create in this lifetime, but this is a part of it, obviously, because they are pressuring me to do it, to share what I know, my codes, the activation, and so much more. The new code, the new blood that gave me last year, and has all the stargates and the openings, and so we can apply it and truly connect you with your soul and your monad if you are choosing it. The new template of relationships about code 13, which I have already made a video, you can find it. All of that, it's part of my journey, it's part of my inheritance, and why I'm still on the earth plane, because believe me that I have many times the choice to exit this incarnation, because it was very tough, but I gave the wisdom my soul needed. And so channeling my last, not my last, but the code of joy, which is the code 166. My soul has chosen for this last incarnation upon earth to experience joy, to experience the joy of love, because up till now, love upon earth was felt as pain, as sacrifice. As my beloved Yeshua told me once, you are here to finally enjoy life and not in pain and suffering anymore. And this is the code 166 if you want to have it. Each code is a certain audio, either small seminar or meditation, which leads you to certain place of and within your consciousness to connect you with your soul and your higher self. And they are actually recreating your energetic field so that you can more easily and gracefully connect with your own self, your own mastery, and work with your human life in a different way. If you would like to work with me, you can write me in my email. It's available, you can find it in the channel. Currently, I am working with a new educational program called The Emergence of the Soul. The rose is blooming now. And of course you can have an introductory 15 minutes free of charge wisdom talking. You can have an esoteric astrology reading just to know me, feel my energy, ask what you want to ask, because not everything is for everyone, okay? And everyone is in a different phase and stage of evolution. But whatever you want to do with yourself, whether it's your job, your human life, your relationship, everything, the way to work with it is to have your own blueprint. And this blueprint is through your rays and through your chart. I hope you find interested in my story and inspired you to find more about you or how to work with yourself. The times that we are living upon earth, they are very challenging. That's why we came to earth, especially the ones who, as me, who came here to be a role model. I am a role model in human design, 6-2 emotional projector. For those of you who know about human design, so I'm a born teacher and role model. I have my son in the 9th house. Anyway, I believe this is all that I had to say in this video. It wasn't easy for me to repeat a story that, although I have lived it, I am not attached to it anymore or identify with it anymore. I am that I am. I am who I am right now, and right now is, and the now is very important and in the now only you can connect with the truth. But you need to know that there is a certain way to do that. I hope that was clear. Thank you very much for listening, and we will talk in another video. Bye for now.